like to wait, actually, until the boss tells me we can go. I did. Okay, so now we can start. It's 6:36. We are all on hot mics, so we're ready to get the meeting started. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight. We've got as part of our regular scheduled council meeting that's been delayed just a touch to make accommodations for the budget schedule that's mandated by the state as far as dates and announcements and public hearings go. So with that, we've got a long agenda, several things to cover, primarily the budget. It'll take some considerable time, so let's get going. If everybody would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comments. Ms. Shadowan, you are on item number 3, so I'll just hold that. Is that okay? All right. And we also saw an email from Dennis Failer. He may be online, but he's not here. But anyway, he sent an email to all the council and asking us to please accept these as his comment, as if he were present at the meeting. So I'm assuming all of you saw that. I have a copy of the email here as well if you don't. So we will take that into consideration as well. And Ms. Shadowan, we will hold your comments under item 3. So with that, that leaves us solely with the consent agenda, item 1A, and that's to consider approving minutes of council meeting held on July 11th and 25th of 2022. The minutes are, yes.
Mr. Mayor, if you look at item 2 in the boldface at the paragraph at the bottom, I can't remember if I made the motion, but or seconded it, but I didn't do both. So.
Okay, I'm sorry, where is it?
So
it's item number 2, the award contract and approval for the base material out there on Judith Road.
So will you have to correct that by looking at the?
Yes, I'll just look at the minutes.
Okay, okay. Good catch, Stephen.
Other than that, I don't have any issues with approving it as, with, you know, that correction.
So Stephen, will you make a motion on, well, I take that, let's take just a second look at the other one as well before we do that. Yeah. Okay, so is there a motion under item 1A subject to Stephen's correction?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for the July 11th with the one noted correction and July 25th.
Second.
There's a motion, a second, under item 1A. Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. To item 2, is to hold a public hearing on the proposal to adopt a tax rate of .548028 for $100 of valuation. This rate exceeds the no new revenue tax rate and does not exceed the voter approval tax rate. So you see before you tonight, we'll be looking at the public hearing notice. I'll just reference a few things on here. So the proposed tax rate is .548028. Let's see, that is almost identical to last year's tax rate, which is 0.546945, which means it is actually an increase of 0.001083, or essentially 1/1000th of a percent is what the tax rate is increasing from last year. And council, for those that have been following the history, this is probably one of the lowest points the tax rate has been since I've been here for just over 20 years. We've ranged from a high of 60 to this rate right here, this 0.54, which hovers around the lowest it's been. Now, that's not to say, and certainly would not want to mislead anybody, that's not to say that we are not bringing in more revenue, because as everybody knows, your property valuations from the McLennan County Appraisal District continue to go up. So additional revenues are generated off your increased valuations from the McLennan County Appraisal District, but not from the city tax rate. So, but still, you will feel it in your wallets as you look at your tax rate, whether it's tacked into your mortgage or you pay it outright. Because of the increase in everybody's valuations, we're all paying a little more in taxes. So with that, I will open the public hearing under item 2. The public hearing regarding the proposed tax rate is open at 6:43. Is there anybody that wants to comment on the tax rate? Hearing no comment about the tax rate, the public hearing is closed. That takes us to item 3, which is to hold a public hearing on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2022 and 2023. So, as the council in item 4, we're going to spend some time going through the budget with various questions and observations. But for anybody in the public, you are more than welcome at this time to raise issues relating to the budget. And I will start with Ms. Shadoan, but anybody else, even if you didn't sign up because it's a public hearing, you're still welcome to speak on this topic. Ms. Shadoan, you're first, though.
Hi, I'm one of the few people in this town who actually went through the budget page by page by page, line by line. I'm very familiar with the budget. Some very glaring issues. Number 1, and this is general, contingency funds. Contingency funds. Now, I have another name for it, but I think they need to be itemized, not just a contingency fund. I look at the MEDC with a $200,000, almost $250,000 contingency fund. Now, what could they possibly be spending $200,000 on that could not be itemized? You know, it's not itemized at all. It's just considered contingency. I think this needs to be changed, and I think on a monthly basis, or even a quarterly basis, that contingency fund needs to be itemized on the budget. That's number 1. Number 2, let's go to streets. One of the things that was just stuck right out, $7,000 a month for electricity? Don't they turn the lights out at night? $7,000 a month for electricity for the streets department. This is amazing. Second, $176,000 capital outlay. We have bought, I don't know how much equipment for street repair, maintenance, new streets. What could we possibly spend $176,000 on? Is there something that they want to buy? Is it listed somewhere? Has it been brought up somewhere? I can't imagine with all the equipment they have out there. 2 lots full of it. Next, $400 a month for auto repair. Now, we have a fleet maintenance. We shouldn't be paying anything for fleet maintenance. We shouldn't be paying anything for maintenance, so it's nothing but parts and basic oil, that sort of thing. But $400 a month, that's a lot of money. Maybe if the employees weren't using these vehicles as personal cars, they wouldn't put as many miles on them. If you're just driving around town, going to a location and then coming back for lunch, then going out to location and coming back, that's not a whole lot of miles. You know, you may do 50 miles a week. But when you're using it as a personal car, and we already pay them for overtime, we already pay them for that. Next. There's over $1 million in the street budget, yet only $190,000 of it is dedicated to actual street repair. That's 1/10 of it is actual for street repair. I remember last year, we lost 2 employees in the street department. They were laborers. We took their salaries, and what we did was we divvied it up among the existing. Great, they got a raise. They deserved it. Now what are we doing? We turn around and hire them again. We're hiring more people again. So we're really losing here. Next, I used to be an assistant to a CFO. I'm very familiar with budgets and reporting. And one of the things that mystifies me is why under the salaries, wages, and benefits, if it's in the budget, that means the city is paying for it. So when I see Social Security, retirement, insurance listed in the budget, that means the city is paying for it. Now, is the employee reimbursing that through payroll? It doesn't show to be reimbursed through payroll. But the city is paying for it. I think these things need to be put into the wage. Needs to be put in the salary, not separate line items. Separate line items mean the city is paying for it. If you budget it, you're paying for it. This needs to be corrected. It's not standard procedure for budgeting salaries and benefits. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry. Public hearing is still open. Anybody else like to make a comment? You're more than welcome to. Hearing none. Go ahead. No, it's okay.
I had a quick question on what I...
Saved by the bell.
My name is Catherine Roden. Hello. I'm on a few boards in the city. I also live in the city. And I don't typically make comments on things, but there were a couple things from what Ms. Shadoyan said that stood out to me. I also used to, before I started my own business with my husband here locally, worked for a larger company in McGregor. I used to work for TransTech and was in the financial side of that business, which is a pretty substantial business. To address a couple of things that Ms. Shadoyan said, a contingency plan for, and hopefully clear up for anybody else that's listening, since you guys can't really say a ton about it. A contingency plan for the EDC would be something, if we have a business that comes into town that wants to purchase land and build here, and the EDC needs a little bit of leeway on how to entice them to come here, that's what that contingency plan is for, in my opinion. But you don't know what business is coming to put it as a line item. So it's just a contingency plan to have a backup, like a savings account, so the EDC has a little bit of wiggle room to maybe make a move for the benefit of all of us. Yep. We have a lot of big fish that we're trying to get. for the auto maintenance part, $400 is not a lot a month. Even if, like you said, they're making repairs themselves and doing things themselves, $400 is like one alternator for one vehicle. We have a ton of vehicles. And to your point, sure, some employees could leave a vehicle here instead of driving it home. But when we had a water main break a couple weeks ago on a weekend, I would put money on that employee having that vehicle at their house and being able to go straight to where the issue is instead of having to drive from their house to where the vehicle is and then switch and get their tools and load them up and then go to the issue when all of us were out of water because there was a line break. So I would say it's probably more beneficial to us overall if they just drove the vehicle home. Yeah. Yep. We can't have every city employee hired in McGregor. Yes, they do. Yes, I am aware. And the last thing I wanted to address was the employee benefits. I don't know if there's a difference between a private business and a city, but to my knowledge, it's common practice to have separate line items for taxes that you have to pay, for Social Security that you have to pay, for everything that you have to pay. It's separate from wages because the city's required to pay certain things. So it's not something that they have an option. We can change this wage amount for our employees. It's something that they have to pay. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Public hearing is still open. With that, it is 6:53 and the public hearing is now closed. So with that, we will go to item 4, discussion and possible action relating to adoption of proposed budget for fiscal year 2022 and 2023. And so before we get started, I know that we may have questions, and you know, this is our time, council, to spend time. Carolyn, do you have a presentation you want to begin with? So, Carolyn, as you begin the presentation, I know one of the questions that we all have had and the public has had too is regarding to the timing of things. I know our timing was squished this year based on we got the budget a few days ago, and now we're being asked to approve it. Again, we've had time to look at it, but this has not been our standard and normal protocol and practice with relating to here's the budget, here's how many times we're going to go through it, and here's where we're going to be asked to adopt it. So please address that.
Well, you received a preliminary budget in July the 25th, and it was placed on the website as well. So this one, it's like a living document. It did change today. It's constantly changing, and that's why I gave all of y'all a new budget tonight to make sure everything that's been tweaked is there. This budget would have been on the website Thursday with the exception that it was too large. I could not send it. I worked with our IT folks for several hours, could not get it. Finally, I got it through Dropbox to Cassie so she could upload it. I mean, it was an ordeal. And then y'all, there's that they delivered as well. And it was fast. I mean, it's just.
And I know we had some issues with the tax rate as well, and we have to follow.
5 versions again this year, so we got it semi-right. So,
And seems that we keep getting pushed later and later when we are getting our appraisal rolls.
what it is this year, which is different from any other year we've had, is the county office, tax office said they would not send out any forms until Riggs had approved everything. So we didn't, normally we get to see, to plan, you know, a few weeks in advance, here's what the rolls are looking like and this is what we're gonna be at. But this year, no, they would not send us anything.
So we got no preliminary rolls this year? We did not get a roll until
In
it was
April.
final?
We got one in April, and that's all we got. We didn't, usually you get some in June
Mhm.
as you're getting closer and you're getting a better idea of where you're at. We received nothing, and they said no, they weren't until he had certified them. They were not gonna release any forms. I begged, because I said I have a meeting on the 25th, I have to have something, you know, so I said, that's why when we had the 25th
Okay, well, we can do some of that tonight as well if we need to, so please proceed.
On the next slide, we have the budget assumptions and notes. You can see, a lot of the things there that, I adjusted the healthcare because it actually came in, it is adjusted. It's less than that now. I failed to think that this morning.
And so, hang on, Carolyn, the slides, are all of them, or some of them gonna match also with pages we have in our budget?
Yes.
Okay, so what page does that come from?
Well, the healthcare does it, but the tornado siren, that's on your capital.
No, I mean the actual slide itself. You prepared these slides for the
You have
PowerPoint.
a packet in front of you like this.
Oh, that's the slide.
And it is, and it's the second page.
Okay,
Kind of like an overview.
I got it. All right.
Kind
Perfect.
of like an overview.
Yes, this is just the structure version of the.
Okay, I got it. Go ahead.
And so the tornado siren, this is just some of the things that we put in, solutions that we're looking at, just to kind of give you a idea of what's not normal. And in the, new positions, that includes their salaries, our wages, and their benefits. So that's why it was, for instance, the labor for water is actually $15 an hour, but by the time you calculate it all out, that's the total price.
So a few things here that jump out. Includes capital outlay in major funds, $2 million. I guess that's broken out in other places within the
Yes,
budget?
we'll get to,
Okay.
it's in your budget, and it's also, I have a slide, I believe, here tonight.
And what about remodel of Bewley or Casting Park? I mean, we've been talking about, I know Bewley for a long time, and 15,000 doesn't seem like much to be able to do anything.
No, I was asked to put in 15,000 every year, and every
Okay.
year we're gonna tackle a part of it until we get everything.
Okay.
Could we perhaps consider, instead of a boulder for Amsler, perhaps roll that into also Bewley or Castings? I know we're considering the old tennis court and a splash pad for Amsler. I don't see that on there.
That's the splash pad and the Ansler bathrooms, that is coming from some of the COs. So that's
Okay.
not part of.
Yeah, Stephen, I think that was from 2018 CO. That
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to point out there, the restrooms, we're probably going to have to figure out how to sweeten that up a little bit because they're going to be way low. I think that Cassie is going to make a presentation, or they're going to bring the folks to make a presentation to get to move forward on the splash pad next meeting.
Not tomorrow's meeting, but the
No.
next special call meeting.
Yeah,
From my experience, restrooms are just incredibly expensive.
well,
to do.
and they've gone up, so
Yeah.
I've got an idea, but
I mean, it's necessary, but
Yeah.
very expensive.
I've got an idea that, and
house for
I
that.
think we can cover it from when the framework of this budget, but we'd have to do it after the October one. And we'll bring some other stuff along with it, including streets and maybe even a set of tennis courts. Don't say I promised that, I'm looking at it. So that's some things that are on the board for soon. Oh, and the money in the parks, probably try to fix up the existing restrooms as much as anything else the first year. And we may, depending on how those things work out, look at building a new restroom in each of the parks in the future.
So it's just, I don't know how much utility we get out of a boulder when it comes to, actual repair of existing, facilities.
And I guess the boulder was like an entrance marker sort of thing? Is that what,
We were going to try to kind of set that as our standard signage, like we have on the city limits, like we have out at Launchpad Park. They've given us pretty good deals on these boulders because we let them practice their new people on. but they kind of can't give them to us anymore. And it's not a mandatory, it's just Amsler Park's our #1 park, and it's just not well marked at all.
Do we even have a
There's a terrible sign out there that also points to the AME Hall.
right, yeah,
AMA Hall, and it's
Okay.
wood and falling down.
yeah.
And figuring out exactly where to put it and make it work, we may actually have to get a little corner right there by the road, but gotta put the money in the budget before we proceed.
Yeah.
And would like to mark, we've got one, I think I don't know if we bought the one or if it was donated to the police department. We've had them, and their signage is very unique, and it just kind of sets you apart. And so that's why we were trying to do it at each of the parks.
So I know we have one east, north, and south. Is there one out west?
Nope. We're talking about that one now. We thought it was gonna be given. That's a question mark, and so we're still working with it. There will be one on the south side, one way or another, sooner or later. That'll kind of complete the bookends.
Okay, Carolyn?
The next slide is just what's on the front of your budget as well. It's required to be on that, showing that real rate, real revenue, property taxes are $535,871, which is a 19.11% increase in last year's budget. New property added, taxes are $91,047. The next slide. And what I wanted to point out, this is also the other half of that same sheet, if you will, that you are accustomed to seeing. But if you'll look at the bottom where it says proposed fiscal year 22-23, then you have what was adopted last year and the previous. If you know, the M&O rate is continually going down. So even though our rate is staying the same, it's kind of, and you can see it on the next slide as well. It's easier to compare it as your property tax rate from year to year, and the two different amounts. You can see like our total property tax rate, as Mr. Herring said earlier, hasn't changed much between the 2 years. If you look at the voter approval rate, it's also, our debt rate is 4 cents difference, which is about what our M&O rate would be. On the next slide, you'll see on M&O, on a $100,000 home, it's like your third home down. It shows minus 4117, but it went up 4225 in INS, so to the homeowner annually, it's $1.08. And this is the voter approval rate, which is the rate that the budget was constructed upon. On your next slide, it's your no new revenue rate, which is, you can see you would lose $398,000, almost $400 in M&O. And so that's it. And then the next slide, I'm just showing you our direct and overlapping tax rates, which came out of your 2021 audit. If you made it familiar to you, you can see where our rate is as opposed to those that get on their tax bill, other entities.
Yeah, let's stop here just a second. I'm just curious to see. So you can see that, everybody, the 1, 2, 3, 4th column, this is an example of what I was just talking about, where it says total direct, that's the total city tax rate
Correct.
for those years. And then you can see the other entities that are tacked on. So the school rate is, well, you can see what that's done, and if you lived in Midway in the county. So we all have to pay McLennan County, we all have to pay the MCC, and we all have to pay the MISD, so. Okay.
And our next slide, it shows the assessed value, and then you can see in that how our value, estimated market values have increased over the last 10 years.
lot of that is
And
is
you can
new
also see
construction,
our
but
total direct tax rate there, as you were saying earlier, was in 2014 was 59.5 for 3 years, and then 59.4 for 2 years, and so it is declining.
Did the county transition to appraised market value in 2016? Kind of looks like it, doesn't it? About that time. Do you remember when that was?
I believe that's when the Riesel power plant came online.
That was way before that.
That sounds right.
I think that's about right. A jump like that would have to be connected to something real. You know, the transition you mentioned was for all taxing entities, 1980, 1979.
Oh, it was.
And the Pivotal bill, yeah, everybody has to do market value now.
Okay.
But a jump like that, I think you'll find that was that power plant coming online. Just a guess, and probably a few other things. I think DAR came online about that time. That was a big year, but I couldn't quote it directly.
Our next slide is our summary. Yes, can you?
With being a PowerPoint, I can't see it.
Okay. Well, this, I'll just tell you what it is. This takes the funds that we budget for across general fund revenue by source shows that, sales tax is 23%. Property taxes are 42. And 18% is your land leases. And then the rest is, some of those are zero or, less than 10%. Then I took, the next one is your general fund expenditures by department. Our police department is 34, our streets is 20, fire department is 4. And most everything else is, and then parks is 10%, and everything else is below the 10%. Except for non-departmental, and that's at 12, and if you'll remember, non-departmental includes a lot of things that are like legal services, things that really don't belong to a single department. It's, everybody uses that item, so we put it in one place instead of 20. Now you get to your capital outlay. You were asking about a while ago. Here is a list of the capital outlay. You will see in the fire department budget, it says 55,000 capital outlay. Well, if you come to this page, it shows you that 25,000 of that is for the modifying an existing siren, and 30,000 is to buy an additional tornado siren for the community. And it just goes on. The street department, it has how much, and what items it is they're looking to buy. Police department, parks, and fleet maintenance. Fleet maintenance actually sent me their request is for an AC recovery machine, and I asked about that because, we already had one, but with the newer models, they've changed the, plug or ports, and it won't work. And then plus they have a different kind of refrigerant now than what they used to have. So he's needing a newer one so that, it'll pay for itself in a short amount of time, because it's like 9,000, and that includes 25 pounds of refrigerant, which should last him a bit. And so then next, just to keep it kind of together, on the next slide, I have the cemetery. We're asking 12,000 again for another, to continue the fence. We've done half, I guess, and we're trying to do.
You're nowhere close to half.
One side?
You may be 20%.
Oh, I thought we did.
You're about half of one side, yes.
100 feet. Okay. Well, we got 12 to do before the end of this year, and then this is another 12 that we're asking again for next year. So that we can get more of it done and hopefully looking the same.
So Carolyn, hang on right there. So I don't know if we're gonna come back to these or not, but I'd like to ask a few questions about some of these. So, and these may be directed to department heads. So for example, street department. Chad, can you touch on some of those things under your capital outlays? Just tell us what's going on there and why you need them, and what you're gonna do with them under street department there.
The 1-ton crew cab is just, we need something that's able to pull heavy equipment. We've got some vehicles that are just, they see a lot of town driving, which is really hard on vehicles, so they're just needing replacement, really. That's the 1-ton. And of course, having a crew cab allows you to haul more people too. So instead of having multiple vehicles on a job site, you can pool in one vehicle. That helps too.
You can't load them up in the pickup bed?
Well, we prefer not.
We used to do that.
Yeah.
The person might have a problem.
We, as far as the GPS system for the road grader,
Yeah, what is that? Tell us what that does.
it's grade control. It's just precision instead of manual staking, and it's more efficient and more precision as far as getting the grade. The broom sweeper, that we had a broom sweeper at one time, but it was counties, so county decided they wanted it back. So that's something we need to add to the fleet.
We worn it out.
We did.
Is that a vehicle or is that an attachment to it?
No, it is a unit, a vehicle, a drivable unit, so.
You can get one of those for $40,000.
Well,
That surprises me, because I would have thought those were very expensive vehicles.
Well, this is not the street sweeper, this is just a Brosi broom that
You know what?
sweeps the stuff under the
Oh,
gutter.
Yeah.
oh, gotcha,
It's
gotcha,
not- yeah.
gotcha.
It's
Okay.
when you're cleaning it
Okay,
before you're doing maintenance work to it,
Correct.
right?
okay.
You're absolutely correct about a street sweeper.
Yeah,
It's a
okay.
$500
I was
Lot.
thinking street sweeper, and I was like,
You wear
wow,
them
those
out
gotta
in a
be
hurry.
very expensive.
And the signalization,
What's that?
yeah.
That's a grant that we applied for last year
Yeah.
and we're denied, but we're trying again this year, and that's the city's match.
Okay.
That's pedestrian signalization.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't get it.
Yeah, we need that.
But one of the cities who got it has over $200 million cash sitting in the bank. Think about
Built
that.
themselves.
I'll tell you the story sometime.
Okay, appreciate it, Chad.
Sure.
And Chief, same with you on a couple of things there. Tell us about the patrol vehicles. Are we back in rotation now? I know for a while we got out of replacing any of our cars, so tell us
Well,
about
we're
what's
trying to
happening.
get them in rotation. We had a wreck in one of our newer ones the other day. It'll probably be totaled out. It had 55,000. Couldn't have been one with 170,000, but but that's the way it goes. But yeah, we're trying to get them back in to the rotation. We had to order 2 of them, but it'll be a year before we can even get them.
Hmm.
But we had to make the commitment, which they won't hold us to, because they can move them easily.
So can you outfit them at 52,000?
With some of the equipment we already have, we might have to upgrade some of it, but we're in pretty good shape on the equipment. Of course, you know, they got the radars, the cameras, the radio system's up to date pretty good. And the cameras, they're kind of iffy, but we're getting those replaced gradually.
And your roof over there is just, what, leaking or?
Oh,
Yes.
Sounds like it.
yes, on right into Ron's office, and it just caved his ceiling tile in, and that's the way all the water slants toward his office. But we got a bid in. I said, I just want it fixed, keep it from leaking, and we got one in where they said they can fix the leak and get that done here pretty quick, hopefully. But we got bids from 117, 110,000 to replace the roof. And I got several different people to look at it.
All right.
Cameras, what's the $7,000? What kind of cameras? Car cameras or body cameras?
Oh, no, those cameras around our police
Jail?
department, yeah,
Okay.
our lot inside.
I got it, that's good.
They're 10, 12 years old,
That's overdue.
yes. And,
That's a good price.
of course, you know, we're be looking at that mobile CAD, that Tyler system. And we're still working on that. Of course, eventually we'll get it painted, I guess. And just some updating on that old building. Probably take a new bulldozer, but that'd probably work good on it.
Careful.
We could move it to Paul's new house, new room.
Okay.
Zoning might be tough to accomplish there.
Okay, thanks.
Got it, thanks. Okay, Carolyn, unless anybody has questions, please go forward.
We did the cemetery, and of course, our CIP project at the airport, that's our we do each year. And then, in the park development fund, Charlie Williams had asked for a sprinkler system, help with that, for the McGregor youth baseball. They're gonna pay $5,000, and they've asked us to pay $16,000, so
much is that gonna cover? Is that gonna cover all the fields?
No, that's just the big field and cover it right. The other two we did with the last project we did at Park. That big field is a big field. And it's got a little more lattice in the ground that you gotta cover. We may take a look, seeing how that fund does this year. If we get a few more deposits, we might look at doing the outfield fence the same way the others are done too. And that would complete the baseball field project.
You know, I had mentioned once before, another, I don't know what came of it, whatever. But, I mean, is it really costly just to, cause I don't really know fully how they go about doing it, but just to, you know, clean off a field? You know what I'm saying? Like, where it just growed up and all that, cause I mentioned that before about Cash and Park over there, and it's a couple of little teams that go over there and practice, and the grass all growed up, so, I mean, is that expensive, or is it just going over there and grading that off over there?
Well,
You know, I asked the question, no one never
I don't
really.
call it, keeping it mowed is okay. I don't think we irrigate either one of those, that or the other ball field at Amsler.
I wasn't talking about irrigating it, you know, I'm talking about the infield, that infield where the sand and all that be at.
We
This is
can-
all grass, it
We
just,
can process that
yeah.
and
I just
keep
wondering
it,
about
it
that.
just takes a little time. The other field looks good because Little League takes care of all of that. And we water it for them, we help them, but they actually maintain it on a constant basis. We don't, these two, and that's something we can certainly look at doing. I'll probably have to add a park guy or two before we could, but we can have Cassie take a look at that for us. It would be nice to have those where they're a little bit better quality. Same thing in Amsler, it just gets beat to heck. And everybody wants to use it, nobody wants to take care of it, but it should be
The two
ours.
that are using it now are maintaining it,
In Amsler, yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit,
Amsler.
a little bit.
yeah, just for their purpose.
We'll take a look at that. Not a bad idea, it's just a matter of time and money.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I mean, I'm not, if it's something that's not doable to a point, you know what I'm saying, but when we're talking about park, that's one of the parks, so.
Yes, sir.
And it is used, you know, on occasion, I mean, they don't be playing balls, I know that, but there's several of the teams that go there, and practice kind of here pretty regular. I was just wondering.
Carolyn?
Okay, the next one is your utility fund. Now, on this one, we did, budget an increase in revenues. Our, water supply went up basically 10%. And so, of course, that's one of our major expenses. And, we had none on that. Our pipe and meters and whatever lot needs, it just keeps going up and up and up. And sometimes they're not even quoting us until it arrives. So they can't tell us a price. I mean, Chad could probably talk to that more about how the increases are affecting what we can order and the long wait on some things. It's not like we can order today and it's not anymore.
I mean, I don't have specifics, numbers. Lot, I know we're dealing with sometimes double the price, and then the availability, like Carolyn said, is just very extended, let's just say.
We're trying to, or we ordered meters, we're trying to keep some on hand, just, not run totally out, so that we keep, if we have a break, not meters, that's pipes and related, but, we try to keep supplies, clamps, all those kind of things that we need when we have a main break or a water line break, so that we're not having to shut down the water supply. But it's getting longer and longer.
So in this water revenue and sewer revenue, what's the proposal of increasing the revenue, from where and how?
10, I did 10%.
Yeah, but in the, just the volume rate?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I should, I did a spreadsheet on all of this. I looked at how many gallons we did and at the different rates and to come up with how much we would actually raise. So that based on, you know, we have so many with a 1 inch, so many with a 2 inch, so many with a 3/4 inch a month that we bill. And then see what the revenue would change with 2 different rates.
We didn't raise the base rate, though.
Okay.
I'm asking,
Yeah, so that was my
Across the
question
board.
too.
did you raise the
Yes.
basic rate? Okay, so the base rate was raised. I stand corrected, Mayor.
Across the board.
So what is, I'd like to see those before we adopt this, what the full breakout of demand rates, volume rates. And are we still operating off the rate study from, man, when was the last time we had a rate
No,
study?
you're past that.
We are?
You're just doing it as best you can. We're probably gonna have to have another one pretty soon.
Okay. And what does our water usage look like this summer? I mean, I know it's so hot, that you would think people are using it more, but maybe people have given up on their yards. I don't know, I have. Just let it die.
I'm not, I mean, I don't have the volumetric on that in total.
I'm just saying our revenues across the board, are they trending up or down or about flat compared to what we normally do?
We're in the middle of probably them going up, but you never know exactly what you just said, what the impact's gonna be of people that just quit watering versus those that do other things.
Yeah.
Well, when I look at the totals, I mean, I'm not looking at, this is the industrial park, this is the.
No, that's all I'm
residential,
talking about,
and-
too.
And so it's kind of,
The,
you know, if they're doing more somewhere else, they could change the amount billed each month by a significant amount.
Yeah.
I know that from standpoint of Bluebonnet Water, everyone's minimum is going down, including ours this year, which means everybody cut back.
Yeah.
Ours will change significantly after Knopf opens.
Yeah, hopefully they'll be able to offset some of the expense.
Even with that rate, they will.
Yeah. Okay.
Then on the next slide is the capital requests for each of the departments within, the utility fund. So water production, they're paying the ground storage tank at 9th Street, it's estimated to be $300,000. And they have asked for a box truck at 65. We deferred the 2 generators because later this week I'll be visiting with, our grant works people, and we are looking at applying for another grant. So we're kind of waiting to see if that comes through.
And you're talking about generators, if power goes down, something that keeps those water facilities running.
Big generators.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. And the ground storage tank, is that painting the inside or outside of it?
inside.
So inside for safety and maintenance reasons. Okay.
And then on utility maintenance, we deferred a vehicle with them and the mini excavator. We had put in here for a Chevrolet 4x4, and then, a backhoe, a utility trailer, and a hydraulic power unit for the CS saw. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see the box truck, what we're referring to, it's where it has all the drawers and things. It also, the PV on it has a lift gate, and those guys are having to pick up the chlorine bottles. They're 250 to 300 pounds, and the lift gate, you can slide it on there and it lifts it up for them, and then they can transport it to the different, wet water treatment, water plants.
The other important point about that is it's replacing a 2009 unit. It's just about wore out.
And then the other piece that I mentioned was the hydraulic power unit. That's for the next one, that's for the, ICS saw. And that's the main tool they use when there's a main break. They have to cut while the water's still flowing, and you have to be able to, do it. Well, currently, the only one we have is on thousand in expenditures. On the exchange, which is the next slide, we have, the rental revenue and fees, we're estimating $141,500.
So real quick, under hotel motel, you got marketing as an expense. I don't understand that. I mean, is that funding marketing for something else?
No, I mean, we have ads and advertisements in, Cassie has some in, Texas Central Engagements that we pay for. You're marketing McGregor, you're trying to get people to come here, is what hotel motel tax really is for.
Is this also part of what page 360?
I don't believe so.
Okay, that's why I'm asking.
Just so what do we pay with that marketing, where it says expenditures 35,800?
Like if she puts something in the Dallas paper, or anything that we do to try to draw people here, that's advertising, we take it from these funds. And we have a monthly one that we do every month, which is the Texas Central Engagements. And what's the other one? Can't remember.
The Central Texas Engagements is a McLennan County, Bell County, wedding book essentially. And then, the Bliss Bridal Magazine, runs through the entire state of Texas. And we've actually, every year, gotten 3 or 4 events from each one of those. So they've actually paid in return.
The hotel motel money has to be spent. I think the simple way they put it is to put heads in beds. And if it meets that test, then you can use it on that. So it very typically is marketing.
Okay.
And we have enough money to actually do something, largely because of Magnolia House across the street.
Are we still, or is the hotel current? I mean, I know they've made some upgrades to it
Years
over
ago,
there.
I think we're gonna audit it again pretty soon.
Who owns it now?
They pay, but they don't. It needs to be looked at.
I can't remember the name of the company, it's Patels. The parent company of the name that's on the side of it, Atria.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then
Okay.
Next slide is the, executive airport. And we've got the 295,600 in revenue and the same in expenses. You see the jump in personnel, we have, budgeted for an assistant airport manager. Because our current one does a lot of, permits and building.
I thought he was gonna retire.
That too.
No.
So the airport budget has to balance within itself, correct? Yeah.
About the only thing they get from general fund mayor is a little help mowing every once in a while. That's if Barry's not on the mower himself, which he loves to do.
Our next slide is out of the cemetery. We don't have any personnel charged out to the cemetery. So you just have basically your maintenance out there.
They did a good job of keeping up with it. Of course, we haven't had a lot of rain to worry about it.
Are we contracting that out these days, or
No, we-
local?
Parks people. do that.
Parks people? That's good.
Cassie's moving everybody around.
Good.
And then our next slide is our general fund debt service. So you'll see that we have $1,199,878 budgeted for this, next fiscal year. If you go to the next slide, then it has, that's our total debt service. That's including the water, our utility fund, and the general fund. So it's over $2 million.
So, wait. Page before is out of the general fund, the next page is total.
Yeah, general fund is what your INS rate is set at.
And I know I've asked this before, and I don't ever know quite the answer, but how come we can't pay off some of those 1995 old?
We are,
I mean, just pay them off. It's $40,000 and just like wipe it off the books.
Oh, no, it's like 200-some thousand. That's just this year's payment. And see, the actual payment on that is like.
Okay, so like the principal.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, so we really don't, yeah, I see, I don't know what the total is. It just says that that's the principal payment. I get it.
Yes.
And also,
And you had told me whenever we paid off their 20, I don't know if it's 2003 or 2013, when we paid one off like 2 years ago, you said to add that,
Yeah.
it's like $30,000, $40,000, I have to look at it to be exact, but to the current principal, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
I just add it to it every year, and that's why, so we can get it paid off.
some of your debt doesn't allow you to pay it off early.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
It's not callable,
Yeah, we have
at
some
least,
that you have to wait
at least not
10
without a
years.
significant penalty.
And that pretty much wraps it up.
Is the new fire truck listed in here?
The debt, the new fire truck, it will come in, year after next.
Here.
And we only hope they build it right.
When you see the contractual obligation, 2022 principal.
I see that.
certificate interest,
Right.
that's the fire truck.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
That wears me out.
Mayor, did you see on for the clarification of agenda item? It's weird. We have to, make a motion and vote on it, but we're not, that's really not coming up until tomorrow.
Okay.
Actually adopted that,
You can, move to.
yeah.
Kinda,
I've got it.
kinda equivocates having to vote on it twice.
Yeah, I've got the actual motion wording at the bottom.
A couple of questions here. So, on page 23, I was looking at the land leases, and so everybody ought to look. Bottom of page 23 in your budget, you can see the land leases. You get an idea of what some of these tenants on our industrial park mean to us. SpaceX, you know, we're projected to recover $700,000 in land lease this year. But I was questioning, what is 402? What was 402?
That's building 402, that is Armadillo Tire.
Yes, used to be the, powder coated company. What was the name of that? Crosslink. That's, they now lease that building, so we just referred to it as 402.
Okay.
Armadillo's probably kind of temporary out there, but not sure. They needed a place to stack tires.
Of course, you got the ag lease. A100, I see we have something budgeted there. What is that based on?
There's currently in bosses, I believe is how you pronounce it.
And they're still there?
They're
and-
still there, and so I was told, probably, November, it would be there through November, so that's 2 months of, revenue for those 2 months.
Okay. What kind of shape is the building in right now?
We have it walked through every week. It's in pretty decent shape. I mean, it needs a cleaning, but we're doing pest control and everything else out there, aren't we? Trying to keep it from being taken over by the vermin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, it'll need to be some cleaning up. Still standing half
And
empty, I guess.
I was also looking, general fund revenues. I know that we have this discussion a lot, and I don't know that we'll ever change, but I'm always curious. Swimming pool revenues. Angie, do you have any idea yet how much money we lost from the pool this year?
No, we have not got all of our numbers together yet.
I looked today and we had taken in,
revenue.
But you still lost.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Plenty of money.
But it was nice to have.
It's a service.
It is, right, it's a service, we just need to know what that service is costing.
The city needs to know. I mean, that's you know, that is a big service to
It
this
is.
community, and I don't think they realize how expensive that service
It is very expensive, and we charge very little. What do we charge, $3 a head? $2 a head?
$2 and $3.
It is $2 if you're 5 and under, $3 if you're 6 and older. I do have a few requests on the fee schedule moving forward that adds a third age group, that would be $4 for 19 and over. But we did
Yeah.
add some school swim days between Little Pop Academy and Kids Stop this year, so they have their own hours in the mornings instead of them mingling with our general public, so that it's easier to monitor the kids for the lifeguards. It's also easier for the schools to be able to come in the morning, take their kids back to school for lunch, do naps and everything. So there's a lot of things we added this year, as well as the concession stand and some other things that'll help bring in income, and we're trying to bolster that moving forward.
And that's the best summer bargain around. $3 a year to drop your kids off, get free babysitting and swimming pool.
You can also say that the level of service offered out there is way over what it's ever been.
Yeah.
Not only did they have the kid mornings, but they had senior time, they
Seniors
had
have every
late night
Wednesday.
swims. They did a lot to try to answer the demand. Some of the demand didn't really materialize some nights, but some nights it did, so had good parties. It's probably as busy as I've ever seen it, other than when they were doing the
Yeah, we
volleyball out
had a
there.
request to add late night swims on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We were able to do that. We have enough lifeguards that signed up this year. I think we had 11 total lifeguards, which is astronomical. We had 6 last year, and it was pulling teeth to get those 6 last year. And then we had another request. We don't do anything Tuesday mornings currently, so we had a couple of moms called in who have smaller kids who wanted to do, like 6 and 7-year-old birthday parties on a morning versus a Friday or Saturday night where we currently allow them. So we'll be adding some of that moving forward too, which will, again, bring in a little bit more income. They're still not expensive. It's essentially $200 for you to have your child's birthday party for 2 hours at the McGregor City Pool.
It's cheap.
Yeah, it is cheap. It's good though. Chief, do you have, I'm looking at your police budget, do you have everybody hired in the police department that you need to? Or are you missing people right now?
I'm missing 2 right now. That just occurred in the last couple of weeks.
And I believe our new sales commission talked to you guys about is in October or November, the cops scramble, or whatever they're calling it now, is going to open again, and it usually runs from October to January, February. And the way it's worked in the past, I haven't seen it currently yet, but in the past, you get an officer, they'll pay 100% of the first year, 25% of the next year, 50%, and so on until they're yours at 100%. But it allows you to build your budgets, what we have to incorporate, and we are planning to do this. And I'd like 2 more. I don't know if we can apply for 2 in the same year, but if we can, we'll probably apply for 2.
You gotta get somebody to apply for the job anyway.
So it's
Yeah, I
still
mean,
really
we've been
hard to
fortunate.
hire?
We've just lost 2, like I say, in the last few weeks. And we've been lucky over the last few years keeping a full staff and keeping things going.
The city of Waco and the city of Temple are in a competition with signing bonuses that have gone
Sure are.
astronomical.
Huge.
And I've told the city manager of Waco personally that he's killing us. But
It's like 15.
TSTC starting out 60,000 plus
Wait,
10,000.
say it again?
TSTC hiring police officers at 60, and they're giving them $10,000 sign-on bonus and 5,000 moving fees and all this. They've been bringing people up out of the valley to work as police officers at TSTC and paying their per diem and all that, just so they can have officers on campus there. And this is going on all around. Everybody's short of all departments. They're short officers.
that's one of the things we
Waco's
will.
what, 130 or?
Yeah, there's one of the things we will be looking at is what we can do to kind of stop the bleeding. I'm sure Beverly Hills is looking at that as well. So I've probably got
I
two
don't
people
think
from
there's a
Florida
day
union.
goes by that I don't see another ad for Waco police officers.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really putting a,
I have two sons that work there and a son-in-law that works there, and they're anxious to get help, I'll tell you.
What do we
They're hitting
normally-
on our guys.
What do we normally start an officer at? Just out of the,
Comes out of
Well,
the
here,
academy.
here it's about 43,000 a year.
And that's out
But-
of the academy with their, all the certifications.
Yes, sir.
We've got
And of
one
course,
that we
it-
actually put through school that's signed on for 5 years.
Yeah, we were fortunate when we got him. He turned out to be a good officer.
Looking to do another one, and
Mhm.
I can't remember what I put the pay at that's in here starting October 1. It probably wasn't enough, but I did some strategic increases in there to get our bases up, but it's probably not enough now that all this other started.
Yeah, the
What's
next
it?
academy doesn't start till January. And we advertise at TML, and I don't know if we've had anybody from TML to sign it, to put in an app.
Our whole card is that if they work here, they can help in extra duty by escorting SpaceX to and from. And that's a very significant whole card
Mm-hmm. Yes.
so far.
They also work security at the exchange for all the exchange events between them and a couple of other closer cities.
And so that's how we supplement, trying to find them additional work, huh?
Yep.
But yet, if we just offer them enough to come here and stay here and have the good side benefits, we got good side benefits. That's why we haven't had much of a turnover, because of that.
But we're too short right now, huh?
Too short right now.
So does that just ramp up the overtime then to keep the patrol filled?
We really don't have that much overtime. It's, they get out and help each other, and we switch some around. As long as they work 160 hours every 28 days, we're good. As far, it's the full time, and that's the pay cycle we go on.
Makes James and Ron work more hours.
I've always worked more hours.
Could we find a way to offer a little sign-on bonus? Take that up NBC's contingency fund.
what does it cost to put somebody through the academy?
I don't remember, what does it cost to put them through the academy?
What,
You have
like
to pay them
35?
basically a wage while they're
Yeah,
going through.
sure.
It's around, it was around $2,000. I don't know what it is now.
The thing is finding a candidate you want to risk the time on. You had a good one, and he's one now, but just, why go through us when they can go up there
What-
with bigger excitement?
Is there an age, requirement, like you can't be a police officer? You can't go to the academy unless you're 20 or 21 or 22?
Well, they have to be at least 21. They can go, but they can't even buy bullets.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same with the trucking industry, that
Yeah.
they've been pushing it down and pushing it down. But because they just don't have enough people to drive trucks. Just wondering.
We keep digging and looking.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's, so under item 4, Angie, walk me through then, as we clean this up.
Yes, so this is one of those fairly new requirements. I think this is now the third year we're having to do it.
Yeah.
So we just need a motion made and seconded to take no action on adoption of the budget.
And then we'll take the formal action tomorrow night? Okay, all right, so is there a motion then on item 4?
I make a motion that we take no action on adoption of the budget.
second.
There's a motion and a second under item 4 to take no action. Is So all in favor of taking no action, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
I can't believe we did that.
Y'all took that action correct?
Yes, we did.
All right. Item 5, discussion and possible action regarding the approval of Resolution R-11-2022. A resolution of the City Council of the City of McGregor, Texas, authorizing the award of professional service providers contract for 2023 and 2024 Texas Community Development Grant Program. Is that you, Carolyn? Huh?
That's in the initial. Yes, sir. Actually, I have, Keith and Josh here from GrantWorks. We received we actually did, do a RFP and RFQs, one for our service provider, and GrantWorks was the one that scored the highest, which is nice, because we already have a, established working relationship with them. But she's here, don't wanna ask you any questions about it. I will tell you, we've been working towards the documentation that, I recall is due by the end of this month, so we're on a tight timeline to get it all the documents.
This is something we really haven't applied for since I've been here.
Yeah, what's our goal? What's the
Community
end
Development
game?
Block Grant. Well, we were hoping streets, and we could ask for streets, but if we ask for streets, you won't get the money. The priority in the Heart of Texas Council of Governments region is water and sewer. So we'll do a water and sewer project. If we get the money, we've got plenty of places that can go to. Keith, you wanna add anything, or just say hello, or?
Just to kind of tell us what we're after and what our chances are, and if we got any chance, then how much you think we can secure?
Well, the grant amount's 500,000, and the total scoring, you're basically, the city's competing against the other cities and counties within HOTCOG, within the Council of Government. Of the 200 points, 50 points, the Council of Government was able to assign what is called regional scoring priorities. And HOTCOG, their scoring priorities are for 50 points for water and sewer improvements. Second priority scoring, I think, is other eligible CDBG activities, and I think it's 40 points. So if you have a project that's not a water or sewer project, you're conceding 10 points to all your competition, which really limits your chances of being funded. In the last round, the 21-22 round, 2 points was enough to make you not competitive. So my recommendation is make it a water sewer project.
Yeah. Do we have anything picked out yet? You have to get that specific, or?
I've given that to Chad and the engineers, and I haven't heard back yet.
Okay.
We're not at a stage right now where we have to know what the project is, but soon.
So you take what they tell you is the best place to use the money, and then package it all up in the proper method, submit it, and try to get the money. Is that?
Well, I don't think I'm out of place to say this, but we haven't been awarded, so I would just use it in a generic sense. When the city awards a grant administrator and awards an engineer, the first meeting that will take place after you've determined who that will be would be a project scope meeting where we'll sit down and talk about projects and fundability.
Okay, makes sense. All right, well, looks like we need a resolution to move forward. So my resolution number under item 5, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve resolution R-12-2022.
Wait. R11.
R-11, oh, I'm in the wrong one,
Yeah.
R-11.
In your, you'll go ahead and say GrantWorks,
Okay.
because in that resolution, those they're blanks,
Okay.
and I filled the blank out.
Okay, I make a motion to approve resolution R-11-2022 to GrantWorks.
All right, good. So there's a motion and a second under item 5. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And motion carries. Discussion and possible, this is item 6. Discussion and possible action regarding the approval of resolution R-12-2022, a resolution of the City of McGregor, Texas, authorizing the award of professional service providers contract for the 2023-2024 Texas Community Development Block Grant Fund. So how does this differ, if at all, from what we just did?
This is for the engineers, if you look where the link is,
Uh-huh.
underneath it, it's all the rules set for engineering. So when we opened our packets today, and did the grading, Walker Partners had the highest score.
Okay. So with this, just as the gentleman was stating, we would have a grant writer and an engineer on board.
Right, and then after that, after if you approve that, this one, then we're ready for the next meeting to start talking about it.
All right, great. So if someone could make a motion by resolution number under item 6, but to name Walker Partners as part of the resolution.
I make a motion to approve resolution R 12-2022, to be granted to Walker Partners.
There's a motion and a second under item 6. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. All right, thank you, sir.
Mayor, if I could,
You bet.
Mayor, council, thank you for your confidence in awarding grant work. We really look forward to writing a competitive application. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Go get us some money. Item 7, discussion and possible action regarding the approval of ordinance O-12-2022, an ordinance of the city of McGregor.
I think we're gonna have to table that, is that correct? This is gonna be for street closure on 8th, which is really northeast first, is that right? But it's 8th on the, I don't understand, but anyway, you've already authorized me to close it. We've taken all the action, we've got the plat ready to go, but we gotta do it by ordinance. And, this is all that's about.
That's what we've been talking about.
The way it's gonna work out, we're gonna close the north half, that's gonna be their fire entrance and exit. And it's also, we're gonna have to maintain utility easement under it and under the south side if we ever close the south side. But the south side will actually be, in service for possibly the, building that's in the back that belongs to Mark, Rick, I'm sorry.
City.
And, that will be a public right of way that he won't be using except for a little piece of it because it comes right off of that right in front of his building and goes down into railroad property. If the railroad ever closes it, then we would probably close that other and let him have it as a drive and maintain the easements. But don't have to do that now, so we're doing what has to be done for this project and we'll wait and see what happens otherwise.
Okay, so we can pass this for now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're gonna ask you to do a special meeting this,
I saw that.
and so we try to put it on there. We'll probably have about 3 items on that.
When is that gonna be?
Well,
That depends on y'all.
Okay, item 8, discussion regarding appointments to city boards and commissions with action items to be on agenda at regular council meeting to be held on September 12th, 2022. So Angie, I appreciate you putting all of the appointments together. Everybody hang on to this so she doesn't have to keep printing that off for us. So hang on to it, study it, and Angie, well, I guess you will
Tomorrow.
continue to update
yes,
it for us. is that
tomorrow
right?
I will have, because they're scattered between text messages and emails, but I have some board members that have already shown interest and have said that they will continue to serve.
Yeah, and let us know if you get disinterest also.
Okay, yes.
And again-
So I'll have those printed out for y'all tomorrow, just as a FYI.
Okay, and I should have said, I guess you probably will need to update this then as people say yes or no.
What I'll do is I'll just kind of, some of them put in for multiple, so I'll just keep like updating the letters of interest, and I'll make sure that they're noted what they're going for, or what they want.
Okay, and again, look, just because someone's been on the board, it's not set in stone. But again, if we like what the board's doing and we believe those people still share our collective interests and doing a good job, then that's normally what we do, but that's not what we have to do. And there are some that we will find that probably don't want to serve anymore, and so we will need to appoint some new folks. So be keeping that in mind. We'll continue to talk about this. I'll at least remind you regularly at every meeting until we get to that 12th meeting.
We're gonna, I have encouraged staff to be very proactive if they've got somebody going off to see if there's other people that might be interested as well. Don't wanna get to a situation like we pretty well have every year of having empty slots.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do the best we can.
Yeah, we do have empty from last.
Yeah, we carry over, right?
It's always hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Okay, to item 9, we got closed meeting tonight?
Very briefly, yes, sir.
All right, so under item 9, we got a closed meeting pursuant to Chapter 551 Texas Government Code in accordance with the authority contained in Section 551.071 Legal, 072 Real Estate, 074 Personnel, and .087 Economic Development. I'm assuming tonight we are under, what is that, B and D, Real Estate and Economic Development?
Yes, sir.
Under item B, that's real estate, under Texas Government Code, Section 551.072. And economic development, 551.087, discussion regarding economic development negotiations, including commercial or financial information received from a business prospect seeking to locate, stay, or expand in or near the city of McGregor, and to discuss economic development negotiations and/or deliberate the offer of a financial or other incentive to a business prospect. So, at this time, at 8:07, we will be in recess and go into executive session. We'll be right back out as soon as we're finished. At this time, we're in executive session. We are back in open session at 8:35. There's no action to be taken coming out of executive session. That takes us to item 10, which is announcements from the city manager.
I have none, council.
Other than we have a meeting tomorrow night, right?
Correct.
Yes, and we also, I need to ask, we have to have a special call meeting, and we only have, what, 24 hours? Quickly.
One is a grant that we didn't know about till Monday that SpaceX is pursuing around a half for part of their project. They're just our road up there. It's part of their manufacturing project that's kind of slowed down, but still running. And
The ordinance. that was
ordinance for
supposed to be
closing
this
and then the cash. That's it.
week. So my question is, would anybody be able to meet at noon on August the 22nd? Or at 6, or 5, or 6:30? Y'all tell me.
I can't meet at lunch. Man, there's almost no time
Okay.
to get out here
We just do it Monday the 22nd.
unless y'all wanted to meet for breakfast before we went to work.
I can do that too.
The only thing I have to check is with if Arma, I don't think she's emailed me back, cause she needs to be the one here to, or someone from SpaceX needs to represent.
Oh,
Correct?
yeah, gotcha.
Or
Well, they don't
did
have
they
to.
send something?
Yeah, if she could just send me a brief, I can do it. She don't have to.
Oh, okay, she said, she did not. She doesn't think that they're sending out.
Probably. So she'll send me a brief, I can take care of it. And they can send she said she could be here on the 29th, not the 22nd, but it's not important for her to be there. It's probably more important for us to do it on the 22nd than it is the way. Especially for the closure.
So this is August 22nd.
Next Monday.
And we're gonna do it
What?
at 6:30 or 6
Yeah,
or what?
it's up to
Whatever
you.
works for y'all.
I'm available any day, morning, lunch, dinner, whatever.
I can do late, early and late. Everybody else, what do y'all think?
I can't do early on the 22nd, but I can do late.
All right, looks like, Andrew, you okay with late, 6:30?
Yeah, that's on
He's
Monday,
retired.
Monday?
Yes,
Monday.
Monday.
We'll send it out to you.
Okay, so 6:30 Monday.
On the 20 what?
22nd.
This
Oh,
Monday.
oh, oh, oh.
Yeah, yeah.
If there's any other, you are recording this.
And I'll be posting the agenda down on Friday and send it out.
Can we do sooner or like 6 or?
Oh,
It's
I mean,
okay.
again,
It's
it's up
hard,
to y'all.
okay.
What would
Like,
you
Renee,
like?
you're always late.
What are you talking about? This is the one who's always walking in at 6:45.
Okay, 6:30, guys.
Okay, so we got that. Anything else under item 11? That's from the mayor and council. Please note, you have the invitations from Jed Walker to join if anybody's gonna be around for the TML meetings. I assume that's what's happening this year?
Yes.
TML meeting in
Yes,
San
sir.
Antonio?
San
And
Antonio.
also, that, those RSVPs are if you do not attend as well. So if y'all just wanna mark it, I'll put them in the mail tomorrow.
If you wanna go, let us know yesterday. Andrew, you gonna go?
I'm gonna try to.
All right. Should. Need to get him set up.
Let's do it. Represent.
Is it going to TML?
That's what I said. He's gonna be here for a minute. I gotta get set up. Also, when we go to the State of the Nation meeting for the chamber in Waco, we have a table and all of y'all are gonna be there. I think that's a first since I've been here, so we will have to post that as a meeting.
Oh, wow.
And Angela will take care of that. You don't have to worry about it. You just can't talk about nothing while you're there except what they're saying, I guess. Thank y'all very much.
Okay, with that, this meeting's adjourned, 8:40. Thanks, everybody.